All right, Shalom. First off, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to my power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles at Great Millstone who rule well and teach us truth. And salutations to you brothers that are bringing out the truth all across the four corners. And I've seen this article, man. Esau is going through it, man. Esau is going through it worse than ever before. It says more millennials are moving back home, and it's making everyone depressed. 20-somethings and their parents experience a blow to their mental health when they boomerang back. Studies find. Now in the old days, right? Traditionally, a so-called white man would when he was a junior in high school or he was a senior in high school, he would decide what school he was going to, and his parents would get that in order, and he would go to the university, learn usually his father's trade, whatever his father chose for him, and he would learn that skill and acquire that skill at college, and would usually come back to whatever community he was from. Now these were like more well-to-do families, but also your average everyday Edomite. This is the 50s, 60s, 70s, all the way up until the 90s, and even into the early 2000s. Your father or whatever, your parents would choose where you go to university. So flash forward to now, a lot of these Edomites are fucking losers, man. They're inside all day, playing World of Warcraft, video games and shit. The parents are paying for everything. These guys are in their, early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, even into their 30s, hell, even 40. And they made a movie. It was a really funny movie, 40-Year-Old Virgin. And it talks, and it basically shows how, if you let Esau, he's going to run himself into the ground, man. And this is just showing how at one time they were such a great, they were such a quote-unquote great nation. But you can see that these, especially these Edomites, man, these Edomites are moving back home in record numbers. Now, this is my movie right here, Step Brothers. All right, and Step Brothers was a good indicator of how Esau operates. If you remember in Step Brothers, right, the dad kept trying to set them up with jobs. Like, hey, I talked to Hal. Salakia, I talked to Hal about getting you a job. Because he had that pool. So, we can't do that. Esau can do all sorts of shit. Israel has never got a job set up for them. You know what I mean? Through their father. You know what I mean? And most niggas, if they do get a job through their father, they fuck it off anyways. But we're not really getting on Israel today. More Esau. It says about a third of young American adults live with their parents, which a woman is supposed to live amongst her parents till she's married. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. But a lot of these other nations, they send their daughters to university where they become hoes, sluts. They're fucking Jake, really. They come to college, they want to fuck Jake. So by the time they get back to their hometown, they don't want to work. They've been fucking off for 4 years, drinking every day. Going to tailgates, going to parties, every day. So they don't want to really snap back to reality. And that's why these people are getting they're getting sent home in record numbers, because the so-called millennial, right, the millennial Edomite doesn't want to work. Many of them have moved out and boomerang back amid financial or personal stress, right? So a lot of so the financial stress would be like Esau isn't making as much money as he used to, right? So the parents that sent the kid off to college, that may be all the money that they had. It went towards the college fund. So he go to the college, and now he's strung out on opioids, and he comes back with an opioid addiction, no job experience, because the whole time they go to college, most of them don't have a job because they quote unquote don't have time. So they have little to no job experience. Little to no social skills because they see, primarily the same thing in college: safe spaces, quiet ass libraries, quiet this, quiet that. So they're not really going through the hardships of what a job would entail. Occasionally heated confrontations, money shortages. You ever had to argue with your boss because your check was short? These goddamn college Edomites don't know about that. They don't know about having to talk to your boss about your check being short. Because they get money. Even through financial aid, at the end of the day, they're reimbursing you back some of that cash. I see a lot of these so-called black women are doing that. They're buying weaves and shit with the money that they get back from their FAFSA. You know what I mean? And that's because they're following the ways of Esau. Esau is lazy. Don't let him fool you. Esau want to say that so-called black man is lazy, so-called Mexican is lazy. But we all know that's a lie. Because Esau is winding up back at the house. Here it is, man. You went to the University of Oregon. You went to the University of Tennessee. You went to the University of Florida. And you're living in your parents' basement. Working at Starbucks, man. That's a shitty existence. It says, more adult millennials are moving home to save money, and it's making them more depressed. And it's making their parents pretty miserable too, according to other research. Yeah, because here it is. A lot of these Edomites went to prominent schools, William and Mary, Harvard. So they believe that their son, right, that their son is going to be afforded the same liberty. But the Lord has brought these millennial Edomites. He's brought them very low, and these older baby boomer Edomites can't really, they don't even want to believe that failure is an option. So a lot of these Edomite parents are asking their kids, hey, what the fuck is wrong with you? You need to go out and get a job. But Esau just want to stay home, eat Hot Pockets, Mountain Dew. You know what I mean? And Esau is not interested in any women. Now, even if Esau didn't have a job, this, that, and the third, he don't even want to go get some bitches, man. Esau be with like 5-6 other millennials. They just be at one of the people's parents' house. The parents are cool with the weird dudes, and they just squat up and play video games all day, man. No bitches. They're not trying to learn anything. They're not trying to be edified, man. And that's why a lot of these women, man, they're running away from Esau. Because they know that Esau ain't finna get the job done. That's one thing about the so-called black man. And that's for damn sure one thing about Issachar, a.k.a. you so-called Mexicans. You so-called Mexicans can get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, get off at 5 o'clock p.m. every single day, and make a way. And still have energy to keep your kids in order, beat your children, whatever the case is, pop your woman. Here it is. Man, Esau sit at a desk all fucking day. Esau sit at a desk all day. He got a 12 o'clock lunch. Everything is already good. He's got money in the bank. Yeah, he still doesn't have the energy to go home and pop his woman. So a lot of these so-called Edomite women are stepping out on Esau, man. And that's part of it too. That's a lot of the reason for these breakups and why these people are going their separate ways, because she don't want to be with Esau. Esau's entitled. He ain't working for shit. So she figured it'd be better to go to her parents' house than deal with Esau, man. Yeah, that's the spirit. More millennials are more educated than previous generations, right? So these people are going to prominent colleges, but they're, working these basic dead-end jobs, minimum wage jobs, man. Just as their parents had hoped, but they flooded the market. Yeah, because you got these guys that go to liberal arts colleges, or they go to college for, psychology and all this other shit, and there's not any open spots. Really, the biggest things that are open are the things that we frown upon. Plumbing, contract work, really all the dirty jobs that Esau doesn't want to do. He'd rather stay at his parents' house, You know what I'm saying? Eating their food, not working. And a lot of these guys are in their 30s, never had a job before, man. Never had an interview. You know, and the father will be like, look, Timmy, you're either gonna get a job or you get kicked out. So what does Timmy do? Timmy hops on the opioids. So now you got Timmy addicted to opioids, which means he can't pass a drug test in order to get the job. So he slips even further into a depression, and not even the parents are on the oids. A lot of them parents are on opioids because their Edomite children are fucking failures. Suddenly, there were fewer well-paid jobs and more overqualified candidates. Yeah, you got you got college graduates working at Burger King, man. And then the ironic part about these college graduates who work at Burger King, their manager only went to high school. So the manager, you know, went to high school, graduated high school, and was working from the jump. And now he's a manager. So a guy who graduated high school is telling you what to do. You know, you see, and that's the spirit. That's the Most High God, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, putting these Edomites in their place, man. So let me see, but it's basically just talking about Esau, you know. But it's funny because if you look here, it says age 24 to 30 often wound up back home. And ironically, you know, 24 is about the time that you're done with college. And you should be moving on to a career if you haven't already. But a lot of these guys get done with college. A lot of these women too. And a lot of these Edomite women. A lot of these Edomite women go to college, you know, live it up, and then they have no job, no prospects, no nothing, so they just come home. You know, they be at the house all fucking day. Then want to talk about she needs a man who's about his money. When a lot of these Edomite women haven't worked a day in their life, man. Says this was especially true for young men and minority people who are more likely to live with one or more of their parents than were white or female members of the cohort. And it's always been Jake's that's always been Jake's curse, is to live on top of each other, you know. I can speak for myself, me personally, you know, growing up, you're always living around your siblings, you know, hand-me-downs, you know, or you know, you may have a pair of old shoes and your sibling may get them, you know what I mean, because you have to live amongst each other. But Esau has always done his own thing, so now that Esau is having to go back to his family, you know, he's pissed off. You see the goddamn devil. See, man, this shit always talking about it's like updating, or it'll go to a new page, man. Every time I read an article, Esau know what he doing with these websites. These websites are very shitty. And that's another thing, man. It's a job, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's jobs to do. You gotta think about it. Like, it was a guy's job to build that website. And it was probably an Edomite. He just did it real shitty. Let Jake build a website. Give Jake the tools to build a website. Teach him how to teach Jake for a month how to build a website, and then let Jake build a website. It'll be the best damn website you ever seen. But Esau, man, get millions and millions and millions of dollars to be a web designer, you know, in certain places, you know, San Jose, other places, be app developers. They're getting millions of dollars. You know what I mean? And they're still living at home. You know, fucking bums, man. This is the first book of Kings, chapter 2, verse 9. Now, therefore, hold him not guiltless, and hold who not guiltless? So-called white man. We got to blame him for every single goddamn atrocity that's going on, because it is his fault. And they're gonna say, "Oh, well, you know the economy." No, fuck that. If you're a so-called Edomite, you should be making at least $100,000 a year. I don't want to hear any excuses, especially you goddamn women. If you're a goddamn Edomite woman, you should be making at least $100,000 a year. at the very least, and even that's chump change to y'all, man. For thou art a wise man. So we know that Esau is the so-called white man. That's where that wisdom comes in. And it says, and knowest what thou oughtest to do unto him, but his hoar head bring thou down to the grave of blood. So there's going to be race wars. And there's already a big anti-white sentiment in South Africa. And they're beating the shit out of them Edomites, them lazy ass Edomites, because they've been making money off of them farms for generations, right? And the young Edomites don't want to work on the farm no more. You know what I mean? And you think that them Hamites don't know that? You think that them Hamites don't peep that Esau is just he's lazy, so they're just taking back the farms, man. Esau ain't doing shit about it. This is the book of Job, chapter 40, verse 12. Look on everyone that is proud. And who is the proudest person on the planet? The so-called white man. There ain't no doubt about it. And it says, and bring him low. And how is he getting brought low? By having to share an apartment with 5-6 people living on top of each other, sharing bags of Cheetos. You know, these guys, they don't have a regular diet. They eat Pop-Tarts, Cheetos, Doritos. So you can tell that there's a evil countenance on them, and really that's a demon. That's a demon not having them being properly not having the proper diet. You know what I mean? It's a demon on them. Well, really the spiritual demon Satan, which embodies these so-called white people. Right? This is why they walk around. They got a big ass stomach, big ass head. They just look unhealthy. This is Psalm chapter 18, verse 27. For thou wilt save the afflicted people, but will bring down high looks. Now, who's the person who always has the high look? So-called white man, woman, and child. Right? No matter where you go, they always got their chest out, chin up, looking proud. When I guess they didn't check the news, the so-called white man is on the decline. And we already know this. We can see it everywhere you turn. You got white people begging for change. You know what I mean? They're in a low estate. And the afflicted people that are saved is Israel, right? This is the book of Psalms chapter 55, verse 23. But thou, O Yahweh, shalt bring them down into the pit of destruction. And them is you